traffic, we are happy to welcome Calvin Fish into the booth. Calvin, you've been down at pit lane for the first couple of races. First of all, how about a weather report?
Well, it's definitely getting a lot brighter out there, Greg. First blue skies we've seen in 3 days, and the track conditions are dry. We saw some very fast times in the first 2 races, so that would indicate that the speed is there and pretty cool conditions. So we should see some potential lap records before this weekend is out, I hope.
I would think so. Dorsey, it's GT4. What is that?
These are real race cars, Greg. Highly modified, 2-frame. You build these from scratch. Clean sheet of paper, build your chassis. Now the cars, they have to look like a street car. They're street car lookalikes, but these are full race bred engines, transmissions. If you had a front wheel drive car, you can make it a rear wheel drive car. You can build whatever you need to get the job done.
And they are fun to watch. They really put on a heck of a show. And one of the drivers who is looking forward to having a good run here is John Olson. He is right there in qualifying. 3rd last year and earlier. Calvin Fish now in the booth. Talk to him.
I tell you what, Dorsey Schrader, you can probably relate to this. Some of these drivers are making me feel old. We have a 41-year-old driver who's going to retire at the end of this race. That's John Olson. He's running in GT4. John, why are you retiring at such a young age?
I feel like I'm getting old. I'm working a lot. I'm working too darn much on this race car. And it's time to go see the world and be with my wonderful wife. And, I mean, it's been a fantastic time being part of the Nissan team. And it's just time to do some other things and see some other, parts of the world.
You've been running at the Runoffs since 1996. You've had 2 podium finishes in those 4 years of competition. Are you going to walk away from this sport as a Dan Marino or a John Elway? Are you going to take a championship with you?
I'm planning on taking a championship, but we're not saying it's really going to happen. We're trying our darndest, and that's all you can do out here. It is kind of like a crapshoot.
Well, whatever happens, John Olson and his team have certainly enjoyed the ride along the way.
Most definitely, and it's been an impressive ride. As you said, Cal, he has been so quick over the last couple of years. That great podium finish in a bronze last year. Would love to see him go out a winner, but he's got to go up against a lot of talented drivers. Let's take a look at our Valvoline Max Life starting grid. And here it comes for you. Wilson Wright, that unbelievable lap on pole, the double defending champion. Scott Culbertson alongside. Then John Olson and Russ Theus. Russ a little quiet here, but boy, this guy knows the track. He's been around a long time. Warren Montague, a former champion, will be in the inside of the 3rd row along with Mark Brannon. Juan Montalvo, a former champion. And Jamie Hausman is a double champion in the GT5 category. Moving up, Rusty Bell, a track announcer here. He'll be announcing this weekend as well as racing. We'll take a look now at the rest of the starting lineup. Some 24 cars, actually 23. Kirk Olson didn't make the trip. He is a defending champion as well in the GT5 division, but a very, very solid field here. And somebody who we've seen a lot of this year, Russ Theus, who's actually been serving as Randy Ruhlman's engineer for his Trans Am program, still showing he's pretty quick behind the wheel himself.
Yeah, and Russ was a longtime engineer for Ford Motor Company back when I was with Jack Roush in the Trans Am days. Russ, a line engineer for Ford, so he knows what he's doing. Back in 4th place, so that's not what he wanted. He would have liked to have been up front. This man, though, Wilson Wright Jr., 2-time defending champion, 2-time champion, and a new track record on the pole. He's going to be tough.
Yeah, Calvin, the next quickest lap, he turned a 1:36.8, and the next guy was Culbertson at a 1:38.5. And in club competition, in this class, that's unheard of.
That's a huge advantage. He's actually running a 1400cc engine as opposed to the 1600cc cars right behind him. So he says he's got great cornering speed. He gets a pretty good weight break because of that, but he's expecting the other cars to have a lot more torque at this initial start, and certainly they have a lot more horsepower down the long back straightaway.
So at a track, say, like Road America, something with a long straight, he might be at a disadvantage, but this is such a momentum track that weight break might be those 2 seconds right there.
I think if he can get in a rhythm, make the break, and then get into his lap times that we've seen this weekend, he should be the man to beat, but anything can happen. We've seen at the start of the previous races.
Well, the key would seem to be then getting the jump somehow into that first turn, the 7th corner really on the track, into the S's in front of Culbertson. If he doesn't, he gets bottled up in traffic. That could be the problem. Here they come. Grid looks very good. They have teamed up and lined up beautifully. And boy, slow start. That's not what he wanted. Let's see if Culbertson can get the hammer down. Culbertson driving the Nissan with the 1.6 liter. They're still side by side. The orange machine of Wilson, he chose the outside for the start, and he gets the lead into the first corner. And that could have been so crucial. He leads at Culbertson, slots in the 2nd. Looks like Russ Theus got the jump on Olson and slipped into 3rd.
That's one place that Wilson Wright's car being lighter would really be at an advantage in the brake zone. And you saw right there, he really drove in there deeply.
Russ Theus immediately goes to work on the back of Culbertson. Looks like he wants by in a hurry, as up front Wilson Wright has already opened up a pretty stout gap, and there's Theus chasing that white number 46 of Culbertson. Olsen right behind them, and I think right behind them is Montague.
These guys now a real good ding-dong battle here in the middle of the pack now, and it's very tough to pass through this section of the racetrack. Coming down into the carousel, you can make a move, but typically people hug that inside line. Loose there under braking, the 48 car, 46 got Culbertson there. Nearly lost at the track, is obviously still greasy when you get offline. There you can see the dampness as you enter the front straightaway, so you have to be careful.
Now, folks, when Calvin Fish tells you about driving a line at this racetrack, pay attention. He's the chief driving instructor for the Mid-Ohio Racing School here, and he knows his way around this racetrack. And that's been a real study in these first couple of races as the track's gone from wet to somewhat dry to dry. And as you said, there's still some spots out there where there's just not plenty or any grip at all, really. Oh, look at Theus. He got that car rotated. I mean, I thought he was going to spin, but he just got it rotated beautifully and knife in front of Culbertson, and Theus now into second.
He engineered that perfectly, Greg. Dove to the inside and got a good shot there, and he's just trying to hold it to the inside. You see the other cars come, the orange car there in the background,
That's
making
Olsen.
a move.
Boy, Olsen's going to try it, but no, not enough under braking there, and he slots back into what is fourth spot. But Theus, Culbertson thinking about it. Boy, that was very close. So Russ Theus is running awfully good. He's made an early move, Sandy, and Russ Theus has jumped into second. Well, we'll get down to Sandy in a little bit here as we continue to watch this battle for second. Theus chased by Culbertson, then Olsen, and then as we've moved up into the fifth spot now is number 32, Warren Montague. It's really a four-car brawl at this stage for second place.
Well, that was a great pass Theus made up in the keyhole. He double apex that corner. He used the brake to rotate the corner right in the middle, and he just got back on the throttle and got the run down the hill.
Yeah, I mean, the conditions, even though the track is dry and outdoors, I mean, it's still pretty cool out there, so you wouldn't think he'd have the tire temp to be able to make such a sudden change and really get it to stick. I mean, he tucked it in and it held line there, and he was able to get off the keyhole with good speed also. So the car is hooked up and working well in these early laps.
32, there is Montague again. He's driving the TRD, Toyota Racing Developments, and Pellet lighting system, Toyota Tercel. He and Theus, the two Tercels, up against that onslaught up front of three Nissans. And the concern here in terms of the race for the gold is nowhere in this picture is Wilson Wright right now. There he is.
There he is, and he has checked out on this field as we expected him to do with a 2-second advantage in qualifying, which is astronomical. And it's an interesting strategy going to the 1400cc motor and going with a lightweight car.
Dorsey, he's making a move to the inside. Does he have the braking ability? He took a look before. Now he's in the inside, and Culbertson there closed the door nicely. He's mainly got his eyes looking forward. He's trying to get second place. He may not have even seen Olsen trying to attack him from the inside there at the end of the straightaway.
I think Olsen could have made that pass. I think he checked up a little bit. If he'd have stayed in it, I think he could have made that happen. Let's quickly try and get back down to Sandy again on Russ Theus, who's having a great run.
He's having a great run, and his team is just, they're excited that they got this all together because they actually rebuilt the engine in a tent in 26 hours. They were having trouble. You may remember he's the 95 winner. He was 5th last year, and he is so happy that the track is dry because he thinks he has an opportunity to maybe make a podium finish this year.
Well, and he certainly is showing it right now as he sits in second. We saw a surface flag, one of those surface flags I was talking about. Something wrong, and I don't know, it's not rain or anything like that. Sometimes they'll show that if one area of the spot picks up some moisture. Here now comes Olsen. We saw this go badly in one of the earlier races for the showroom B class, but Olsen, boy, he executed that to perfection, and Olsen now has moved up onto the podium. Remember, he finished 3rd last year in this very same class. He'd like to improve on that. Now, maybe he and Theus now can sort of team up, see if they can't catch the quickly disappearing Wilson Wright up front in the Gleek Nissan 200 SX.
I like new things.
Those guys put on an unbelievable show, and we're starting to see a great show unfolding here as well. You'll notice now that number 32 has moved up a spot. Warren Montague has gone around the 46 of Culbertson, and they are right now waging a very strong battle, but it's for fourth, because in front of them, you just saw Russ Theus moving out of your frame, but in front of him, while we were in break, there's the red car of Olson, and John Olson, guys, made the pass on that long back straight, and once he got around Theus, it's like adios.
Go ahead, Dose.
Well, yeah, he did absolutely get on the inside of him. Once he made that pass, put the hammer down, and look at the gain now he has made, even on the leader. The leader was almost out of the frame before, and we're talking about Wright up there, Wilson Wright. But I think right now the fastest car on the track is your second place car.
He's running great, and I spoke to him yesterday, and he said, I just have to be patient. He said, I get way too excited. I want to go to the front on the first lap, and he said, I've got a good race car. If I can just be calm, there's a good chance I can have a result here today.
Well, he's putting on a great show, and John Bizignano, of course, he says he's retiring, so he doesn't need this car anymore.
Well, I'll tell you, he's going to run it to death. He doesn't need it anymore. And right before the start, I asked him, I said, John, have you had many problems getting there? And he said, Biz, are you kidding me? We blew up the transmission, blew up the motor, blew up the differential. And the important thing about all that is that he left 1.5 seconds off his qualifying time this year from his qualifying time last year. So he knew that he had left a lot of time out on the track. Now that he has all those things working well, he's going as fast as he can. He's showing the speed that he could not show in qualifying.
Well, he has certainly just lit the fuse, if you will, here as really starting to take a run at this.
Well, a lot of emotion when you've announced that this is going to be your final race, that you're going to take up and do something different. Like you said, you know, to go out with a national championship indeed is the way to go out.
And he is definitely starting to close in a little bit on Wright. At least, let's say that Wright is not able to continue to open that margin up. Now, Wright's a pretty smart driver. He's incredibly smooth. He won the races last year. I mean, it was pretty atrocious conditions last year, and he was just beautifully smooth. I wonder if he's not driving the gap a little bit here and just conserving that car a little bit. So if Olson does, you know, close up to within a second or so, that he's got something left.
The one thing you have to conserve here, Greg, is the left front tire. I mean, when you come out of the keyhole on the carousel, you really load that left front for a long time. So if you kind of burn the tires off this thing and we get a full caution or something, he may not have the car to make that gap again. So you got to be patient. He's looking in his mirrors. I'm sure his crew are talking to him, giving him splits and so forth. And he's comfortable right now. He's not under any pressure. If he encounters traffic, he's got enough of a gap that he doesn't have to panic.
Oh, look here. Contact up there. That's that battle for fourth. And Culbertson in the white machine, well, look at the back bumper of 32 Montague's car, and we know it's not the first time they've done a little rubbing.
They rubbed before, and I don't know if what we just saw there was just a payback for that bumper being askew back there, but these two guys hammering at it pretty good.
And, of course, the unfortunate thing is all of that kind of activity just drops them further back from the podium here. They've got to smooth it out here if they want to take a run and at least try and catch up to Theus.
Yeah, Russ Theus looking in the rearview mirror, glad to be seeing that. We'll take another look at what we saw here. Here the two cars go, and they're entering Calvin into the corner side by side, but not clear yet. Oh, look at that.
Wow, he got pinched there a little bit. I mean, Culbertson was looking to the outside of Montague as you go up towards turn 2, and that was strange. Montague hadn't got all the way over to the left, which you typically do early when you exit turn 1, so there's a little bit of a strange deal there. Maybe he wasn't looking in the mirror, just looking ahead. Didn't see Culbertson right behind him.
Bat a little bit further back in the pack, that is number 35, Mike Parks, who currently sits in 7th, and right behind him, track announcer extraordinaire Rusty Bell, who has climbed down out of the tower and put the driver's suit on and doing a nice job in a superb battle that's been going on for 7th position right now. 35 Parts, that PEM insulation.
Oh, look here, up the inside. Toyota. Rusty Bell just gave him a little wave back there when they came off that corner. He gave him a little acknowledgement back there, so these guys communicating at least.
Yeah, well, he may have been saying, let's not battle here. Let's see if we can close things up a little bit here, just trying to, you know, work the hand signals, because they have dropped a bit back in the rest of the pack. Again, up front, it continues to be Wilson Wright, who has established a pretty nice margin and at least is sitting on it right now. But we know that John Olson is a man on a mission trying to close it up here in Mid-Ohio.
Watch closely.
Maxlite, the first motor oil formulated for higher mileage engines, and also by Toyota. More choices, better selection. That's by Subaru. Only Subaru puts full-time all-wheel drive on every car they make. Subaru, the beauty of all-wheel drive. Racing continuing in the GT4 category. There is John Olson, who sits in second. And Biz, he is slowly starting to reel in our leader, it looks like, Wilson Wright.
You were wondering if Wilson Wright was actually playing with him a little bit and slowing down, and you're absolutely right. He is slowing down. During practice and qualifying, when there was a lot more heat here in Mid-Ohio, they thought that they had a ring seating problem, and they were going to the blower tube, a lot of oil coming through the blower tube and actually filling the tank. So that problem seems to have cleared up, but they also had very high oil and water temperatures after about 10 laps. And okay, we're in the 50s here, but still, if an engine has a big problem, which they think it may have had in practice and qualifying, the engine doesn't know that it's in the 50s. After 10 laps, he could be seeing some very high temperatures.
You've done it again, Biz. You're talking about our leader, and he just has dropped off the pace big. You guys noticed something. What did you see?
Well, Biz was talking about the blow-by going into the oil tank. He got a big slide in the carousel. The car stepped out viciously on him. He caught that, and he went on the straightaway. But I think he's got a left rear tire gone down, or maybe oil on the tire. But a big slide. These run very low-profile tires, so you really can't tell much looking at it. But he's in trouble of some sort.
He seems to be back up to speed, though, so I don't know whether he's lost a gear or lost some power. But halfway down that straightaway, suddenly Olson just ate him up there.
Yeah, it looked like he almost thought about pulling over, Cal. You know, he just moved offline a bit. And
I wonder if you might not be right, that maybe some of that blow-by is getting on that tire.
Well, that's because Biz was talking about filling the catch can. The catch can on these is usually at the rear, and if it overflows, it probably would get onto the tire. But we have a report that the left rear tire, we hear, might be going down.
Boy, if it is, he's keeping a pretty good pace alive here. That's the right tire right now. There's your right tire, and
looks okay through the left-hander, but that was the right-hander, Dorsey, in the keyhole where he actually got loose. So maybe that would be the left rear would be the problem.
Oh, and he's going to get, even if he's up to speed, he's going to get trapped behind his lap car all the way through here.
Watch here. Now, here's the keyhole, and it's a long right-hander. If the left rear is down, it's going to slide right here.
I don't know if
that looks okay.
It looks okay. Such a low-profile tire, Dorsey, as you said, it's hard to distinguish if it is flat or not. But it's right about this area on the last lap where he really lost a lot of ground. Maybe he just missed a gear or something. Because right now he seems up to speed.
Yeah, it was right about where you'd catch fourth gear, where he stumbled. So possibly did miss a gear. Because you're right. Right now the car looks, well, it's a little darty in the braking. It darty there. It didn't look too happy as it went through. Well, the other thing on these low-profile tires, Calvin, is that the sidewall is so stiff that if it is going down on pressure, they still hold up a lot of weight, even though they're running flat.
Well, if it's a real slow puncture, I mean, obviously, and it's not losing air in big amounts, you might be able to adjust a little bit, at least carry some sort of momentum alive there as well. There's a look at car number 10. That car running back in the 16th position right now. That's Rich Flournoy. Here is a good battle, though, and it has become the battle for the 6th spot as they've just moved up one spot again. It's number 35, Mike Parks, and right in the mix as well, there's Rusty Bell. But here comes a pop move, and I'm not sure.
It's going to make it stick, I think. He's got it down the inside, but he can run side by side.
Look here, look here. Look here. I knew that was coming. I saw that mistake coming way back there.
That's Charles Guest in the yellow Nissan that got hard into the back of 35's Parks. So you can see the damage to the right rear corner of Parks' car.
35 over slow to compensate for the pass there, and the other guy just screamed up behind him at normal speed, as you saw, Dorsey, and tagged him.
The two car misread that. You know, he saw an opportunity on the inside, 35 not knowing about it, turned into the corner when he got there, and with way too much speed, Charlie Guest just drills him.
Yeah, Charlie's got it started again, but now he's got the battle of the wet grass. Let's go back, take a look at it. And here comes the first moment here, the first move.
Well, the confusion at the back. Watch the yellow car. It's going to have a lot of speed making a pass for position, but he sees an opportunity up here in the front when these two guys have to both overslow for the corner because they're side by side still. He sees this opportunity coming and runs down the inside, but you can see misjudges this, has a lot of speed on.
He tried to turn the car. He was actually almost sideways when he tagged him, so he didn't just drill him there, but he was a little loose and tried to pinch the car, but the speed was too high to do that.
He was trying to get out of it, but a little too late. By the way, the other car that made the pass, number 85, the white machine, Joe Tenney, now has moved up as well with that pass. That battle has been ongoing for a little bit. As a result, number 2, Charlie Guest, is struggling. He's going to be well back in the pack at this stage as the race continues here. This again is the GT4 battle, and it has been exactly that. And in 1999, they had a rain race. They're loving the dry. Olson sure likes it.
It's here, waiting for you.
Buy me a first-class ticket home early, okay? Especially the people racing tomorrow. But let me tell you, first, number one, is the racing line can look very dry out there, but I walked out to the side of the track, and actually, in several places that I could see, it was still wet. What they thought that Wright did, he was starting to get some pressure from behind, went into the corner, just overdrove the car, and maybe got into that wet spot. The reason he didn't come into the pits because this is the only tool they have out here, guys, one screwdriver. Also, looking at his times, he had turned 38, 38, 38 on that one lap. He went up to 41, but the significant thing is now he's in 39, so he doesn't have the speed right now that he had in the first part of the race.
Yeah, he most definitely does not. John, as you pointed out, Olson is absolutely gone. Wilson hangs on to second, but coming on very strong is Warren Montague, who has moved up into the third spot, and Montague is fast closing on Wilson.
You know, Calvin, it looks to me, look at this car. It looks like it's got a broken front sway bar. The front of the car's got a lot of roll in it,
right.
And then at the exit, the back rolls into a vicious oversteer, and when you break a front sway bar, it'll do just that. So I think something's broken on that car. He's holding on for dear life.
Absolutely, and I think when he got up in the keyhole that lap, when we saw him getting sideways before he got past for the lead, that probably caught him out there, and he's probably trying to get his act together when he got on the back straightaway. Maybe missed a shift or something, caught him unawares. Maybe he's feeling that he had a puncher or something like that, Dorse. But look, you're going to have to make a big adjustment there. Oh, and there we see Montague. Too much speed through turn 2 and just looped it there in the middle. Hopefully he keeps it fired up. He does. He lost certainly 1, 2 positions there, and he gets it back rolling again.
Back to 5th is where he ends up. So
that all by himself.
Yeah, and 6 laps to go. We're closing in on the end of this one, and he goes from a podium to the 5th position right now. And I'm wondering, when Wilson had that moment that you were just talking about, Calvin, if it was a front sway bar, if that suddenly snapped, I mean, that could have been a big moment for him.
Absolutely.
That could have done it, sure.
Yeah. Look at these cars. We're watching this car right now. When they corner, look how flat the front stays. These are relatively stiff. Being a two-frame chassis, they're very stiff cars. They don't have a lot of roll in them. And now when you look back and you look at Wright's car, it looks to me like it's really moving a lot at the front of the car.
That's a big adjustment to make to really get used to that, Dorsey. I mean, you can't charge the corners because it's just going to exaggerate that prop. You've really got to try and prop up yourself by being very slow with your hands as you enter some of these very difficult and tricky turns.
Let's follow Wilson around just a little bit here.
Now, watch the relative height of the front fender.
Yeah.
See the front fender, how high it is off of the tire?
Yeah.
Watch when he does it. He's got a lot of roll at the front of this car.
Yeah.
And what it does is it rolls into an oversteer. Right here, see it? Watch it. Right there. It gets very loose on him. So he's holding on right now for dear life. The car is very, very ill handling. I'm sure something's broke.
The one thing that could salvage at least maybe a medal for him, if not even a silver medal, is, and I talked about it earlier, whenever you ask somebody about Wilson Wright, they say smooth. You know, we did a piece on a driver in Formula 2000 where you referred to him as Alain Prost-like in his approach to racing. That's what they say Wilson Wright is like, very smooth. And if that's the case, that's going to help him out with a car that's a little bit diabolical in handling, and that not throwing it around is going to help, I would think.
Wes Theus now, he's trying to mount an attack to get back up there. But that smoothness that you're talking about, it definitely does help, because if you don't load the car viciously, then the roll bar, if that's what's broken, you can hold it up on the shocks and springs.
Now, of course, we're speculating on that being the case, but, you know, as you point out, there's an awful lot of roll that didn't seem to be there earlier. There's Theus. Theus sits in the third spot. Behind him now is, well, it looks like 32. Montague has moved back up then and into 4th. So, boy, a pretty quick recovery in that case.
Yeah, I mean, we saw him carry the speed in through turn 2, Greg. He just had a lot of steering in, put a bit too much speed, and the rear end came around very slowly on him, but too late for him to catch it. And he lost a little bit of time, but he can still get back onto the podium here. I think he's got a very fast race car. He's proven that in the early laps. Russ Theus is running a very clean race, though, and he's going to be tough to pass.
By the way, I've got to remind some, I've actually just got to mention something here. This is vernal equinox time of the year, and what might be happening here in 15, 20 minutes, folks, if you start to see some breakup on your TV, it's not your TV. What's happening is the sun is actually going right behind some of the satellites that we bounce signals off, and the power of the sun quite literally overdrives the signals a little bit, so you could get some breakup. You could even lose the signal momentarily. It's not your set. Don't worry about it. We continue to broadcast, so if that happens, just hang in there. We'll be be right back. It's just one of those things of nature and physics and astronomy and all that.
What'd you call that?
It's one of them things.
That I understood. That part I got.
I wanted to put it into Dorsey's.
It's that word up front that really threw me off.
4 laps to go. 4 laps to go, and there is Russ Theus as he now has himself back in position, perhaps for a bronze medal. He'd like to move up, but the guy he's chasing is Wilson Wright, who we think is the key word. There might be wounded just a little bit. And up front is the Cinderella story. If it continues, he now needs 3 laps to make it happen. John Olson out front.
I'm Alex and I.
At a job interview.
He is but 2 laps away from completing that Cinderella story, and I don't mean to harp on that as much, but what an incredible moment it will be. In the Formula 500 race, we heard from the winner that he started to tear up with a few laps to go. Imagine the emotion flowing through John Olson if he, in his race, he's announced his retirement, if he pulls off the gold medal to say thanks. And he's talked about the long ride he's had with Nissan and how he's going to miss it and everything. What a way to go. Unbelievable.
He's got a pair of seconds, so he's been bridesmaid more than once already. But to win and to have announced that you're selling the car, you're getting out of the sport, what a way to go out.
And when you are traveling, you know, around and talking to people and everything, and you're sporting that gold medal too, that's a nice thing. Boy, what a great story this is going to be. Here's Wilson Wright, who, but for perhaps a little something going amiss with the car, could well have earned his 3rd straight and 3-peated, which in its own way would have been an unbelievable story. Double championing is tough. 3-peating's near impossible.
Wilson's showing you some car control right there. That car, I mean, it's just sliding all over the place. Watch the front wheels and according to the back of the car. He's chasing that thing all over the racetrack.
He's soaring at the wheel there as he comes through the keyhole, that's for sure.
What's the word? You get a little behind in your steering?
Hey, look at there. He's got tail lights that are a lot faster than
the headlights. I love that line. It's brilliant.
Okay, we've used every cliche for oversteer that we know, folks. What a great drive. In all seriousness, though, to be able to keep, not only keep the car underneath him, but hang into second. I mean, that's some serious speed he's milking out of this car right now.
To turn right, you give it 1 degree of right and 15 degrees of left and get through the corner. Watch it here. Watch it. Just step out.
They saw some smoke there as the car off. I thought I saw some smoke as he entered turn 11. Car off on the right-hand side, a red Honda there. I'm not sure which number it is.
Well, that's something Wilson Wright doesn't want, because if he has to jump on the brakes with a car like that, he's probably going to go around backwards.
But this is where it's tough for the leader. If you think of the John Olson car, I mean, he's got to encounter some of this traffic. Got to try and be patient and keep it clean.
Right now, 37, Russ Theus, Sandy, reported to maybe have some problems.
Well, they're having a little trouble picking up speed or accelerating coming out of the corner. He's been talking back and forth with his crew chief, Jerry Lindwall. He thinks he can hold on to it. At least that's what he's telling his crew chief, but he would like the car to be set up just a little better. Having trouble getting out of that corner.
Boy, not the thing you want late in the going. Now, keep in mind the car right behind him, 46, Culbertson. He was a player earlier, but he's dropped well back, had some problems. So Theus not under any immediate pressure, I don't think, as Culbertson sits in 11th and is about a lap down. Nonetheless, obviously Russ would like to know that the car is going to make it all the way. We are now on the final lap, so we're definitely watching Theus trying to hang on for the medal. And here is Olson, as he's just got to do it one more time.
Olson right on the rail right now. He already realizes he cannot be run down from behind. And if he doesn't make a mistake and if his race car doesn't break, his Cinderella story is complete. But I guarantee you, he's hearing funny noises, feeling vibrations. He's really nervous about this last half lap.
Well, he said he had to be patient. He certainly did that. In the early going, we see him make the move down on the inside, going down the back straightaway. He was patient there, backed out of it, made a couple of good clean moves, and then we saw the problems for Wright, and he eventually took the lead and has looked strong ever since.
And Calvin, you mentioned when you talked to him earlier on the back of the car, it says enjoy the ride, and he certainly has done that over the years, but I don't think if he hangs on here and he's got a couple corners, there'll be no ride he'll enjoy more than this one. Onto the front straight, and there it is. Who needs a bad old watch for retiring? He's taking a gold medal home for retirement. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, man. And deservedly so.
This is a tough lap. You know, he's got to get his emotions in check. He knows those TV cameras going to be waiting for him when he gets there. Right there, Wilson Wright doing a fine job of hanging on. And Russ Theus Russ comes in.
Yeah, he hangs on to it.
But just barely, looks like.
Brings home the bronze, so Russ is doing a nice job. Again, that was a lap car that was right behind him and looked to be applying some pressure. But look at that. He's bobbing his head back and forth inside there. Cannot believe it's happened, but he is a champion.
I like new things, especially when they get old.
Like keeping things around? Good news. Introducing Valvoline Max Life, the first motor oil formulated for higher mileage engines. Max Life conditions use seals to help prevent leaks and helps keep your high mileage engine performing for a long, long time.
Son, another 100,000 miles and this baby will be yours.
It's live coverage on Speed Vision of the first day of SCCA's Valvoline Runoffs is being brought to you by Valvoline Max Life, the first motor oil formulated for higher mileage engines. And Toyota, more choices, better selection, so experience Toyota today. And there is your champion as he's making his way down into the pits. And, of course, he gets to go out with that checkered flag and celebrate, savor the moment just a little bit more of winning a national championship. And I can't imagine a better story than to do it in the last race when you've said, I'm done. I'm going to quit and move on. Look at that. I think he's glad those glasses are on because there's a lot of red tears in those eyes, I'd imagine.
He's going to get a victory lap. They're going to give him the checkered flag, so maybe he gets to take a lap around and get his composure a little bit. That looks like what they're about to do. But I tell you what, you saw second place car come up to him. The defending national champion Wilson Wright goes up to him and gives him the big wave and thumbs up. So this guy's going to have a lot of motion.
We talk about going out on top. I mean, whether you're a John Elway with the championship or a Dan Marino who came close so many times. I mean, as you mentioned, Dorsey had been on the podium a couple of times in his 4 runs here previously at the Runoffs, but to finally get the win, I mean, that's a different league.
And you know, too, everybody in this class, they're very close. You know, they can't wait to get to that out-of-division race because they'll see friends they haven't seen for a while. They're very close. Everybody knew that this was going to be his last race, and so everybody, I'm sure, Wilson Wright and the rest of them, Theus and everybody, of course, feeling very, very happy for him at this point.
Well, you see, look at the inside windshield wiper going on by itself. See how there? He's got a windshield wiper on the inside of the race.
How trick is that?
As well as the outside because of the fogging problem in there. But that thing's coming on by itself. It looks like there's this crew guy holding.
Well, probably the guy hanging on out there. Look at, he can't even.
That's harder than you think.
They're celebrating right now.
I took my brother around one time like I lost him. I pitched him right out.
I think the guy getting in the car may have hit the switch for that windshield wiper. So
I was actually doing that on a slowdown lap. I saw the thing.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Maybe it's come on by itself at the last minute.
All right. Well, meanwhile, we got a couple of very happy medalists who sit in second and third. Apparently not. Let's go down to Biz.
Well, Wilson Wright's getting congratulations from Valvoline, Penske, and of course Nissan. Wilson, there's a lot of talk up in the booth. Exactly what was the problem with the car?
Basically, when I went down the back straight, I just missed a bunch of gears. Couldn't get it in second when it came out of the keyhole, and saw John go zooming right by. You know.
And even after that, the lap times were slower.
Yeah, the tires were getting, unfortunately, I don't know why, but they're just getting a little bit. I probably overheated them in the first laps, and it just got a little squirrely, and that's all she wrote on that one.
Well, it's tough to three-peat here, that's for sure. But what about next year? You going to stay in the same class, same Nissan?
Oh, sure, why not? You know, it's a good class, it's a good car. You know, I like the Nissan people and all. You know, everything seems to work. You know, so, you know, just have to have a little bit more control with the car, I guess. I'm just not there yet.
Congratulations on a great finish. We're going to work our way back to Russ. He said he'd be right here behind me. Russ, congratulations on a great run. You showed a lot of speed early on and then dropped back a bit. What was going up with that?
Well, I think I had the rear bar adjusted a little too hard and backed it off, and it got better. Just no way I could catch those Nissans, though. They just got too much power. We got to get the cop board to do something.
And Russ, at the very end, you were dropping into the jaws of the 4th place car. Did you know that you had the speed to get a podium, or were you just holding on?
No, I knew I could stay there. There's no way I could catch Wilson, so I just wanted to cool it.
Congratulations on a great finish.
Thank you.
Congratulations indeed for Wilson. Obviously, we were talking about the car control, and we found out now that he just maybe thought he overdrove the tires. I loved his comment about, man, I'm just not good enough in the car yet. Yeah, you obliterate the track record, qualifying pole by almost 2 seconds, and you still have to improve. He's going to be scary if he gets any better. We'll be back to meet our winner in a minute.
Auto Parts Automotive Tip of the Week. When treating...
We're closing in on Halloween, and they have some serious artistry here of a different variety. Look at that. That is awesome work, and he's been holding that for a while, waiting for us to come back. He's probably a little tired. That's pretty neat. That's all right. Gotta like that. Now, what we want to also have you take a look at is our CarParts.com provisional results for the GT4 category. We'll take a look at them, and of course, the big story, perhaps, it could be the story, certainly of the day, if not the weekend. John Olson, his last race, retiring, takes the gold medal. Wilson Wright survives for the silver, and Russ Theus battles back for the bronze medal. Then Montague, Montalvo, Tenney, Rusty Bell sits there in 7th. Mike Parks, John Mills, Scott Culbertson. Bell's hustling back up to the tower, overlooking the S's to get to work. So it's a great race and a great story in Victory Lane. John Bizignano, this is a beauty.
It is a beauty. A lot of celebration, a lot of motion going on down here. This is actually Nissan's 80th championship win, and it's John Olson's first. Congratulations, John. What a great run.
Oh, it felt so good. I've been waiting for this for 4 years. First, I want to say hi to my wife. Hi, honey. It was awesome. I mean, the car worked perfectly. The Goodyear tires. The engine ran great. Rebello.
What about that pass?
What pass?
The pass for the lead, mate.
Where did I get? Well, I think he had a problem. I won't take that one. I think he had a problem.
And what about retirement? Okay, now before the race, you're telling me about all the problems you had with the car, the gearbox, drivetrain, the motor, everything, and then you fixed it all. Now you are the national champion. Where's the retirement in your mind now?
My retirement's up at the lake. Up at the lake.
I don't know any lake that's more fun than this racetrack. Seriously, after this win, are you going to go ahead and retire? How does it affect you?
Well, it's a little quick to be thinking about that, but we're planning on retirement. Well, my wife's listening to me.
A big sigh out of the crew behind me. John, congratulations. You are the national champion, GT4. All right, Sandy Hang, down to you in the pre-grid. We got another race rolling up.
Well, we're getting ready to get started here in E-Production. There's several little stories that we'll be following. I think first we need to be looking at who's starting in 11th place. That's Mark Brandon. He's actually far faster than this car indicates. He had the pole, but he was put back to 11th place. When the crew says they messed up, they had a gallon of regular street gas in the gas tank, and when it was tested, it was not legal, so they were moved back. So that car is quite a bit faster than it indicates.